When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
and the whole world smiles with you. And when you're laughing,
when you're laughing,
oh, you're laughing.
you're laughing.
When the sun comes shining through.
Over the last century, the Joker character has embedded himself in our culture, with multiple interpretations of him in comic books, television series, and of course, cinema. Since 1989, there have been a total of 3 infamous performances of the Joker. Is it 3? Yup, just 3 worth mentioning. But given the Joker is a dark reflection of our society, existing to hold a mirror up to our vulnerabilities, let's examine how each Joker performance defined its era, as the character will continue to adapt with us to allure our darkest impulses and exploit our biggest fears. The first difference between each era's Joker is their character's origin. In 1989, Jack was a criminal, the second in command in a mob gang. During the 1980s, large American cities like New York and Chicago's biggest problems were mobsters, drugs, and street crime. The 80s were also a time of financial aspiration, with Wall Street traders rising to power in high-rise buildings, with funky music, cocaine, and excess. Jack's character belongs right there. But while the economy boomed for some, street crime was rampant, and there was a trust and expectation in the institutions to secure order. So if an enemy originated behind the walls of power in the high-rise buildings, this would lead to total anarchy, as the order stopping the chaos would have been corrupted by the chaos itself. And in a way, given the excess of yuppie culture at the time, there was almost no way of conceiving how a character like that could emerge if not from a position of affluence. As was common at the time, the mob were turning on one another, and Jack is betrayed by his boss, resulting in a confrontation with Batman, leading to Jack falling into a vat of chemicals. Whereas in 2008, the Joker's origin is a mystery. He's not a mobster, he's actually a disruptor to the mobster's market. This era was defined by its market disruptors, with companies like Facebook in 2004, Airbnb in 2008, and Uber following after it in 2009. The power of the individual was still fully believed in, as we were seeing individuals creating anarchy with new technology. Power was not delivered inside conference rooms anymore, it was simply taken, stripping the previous market leaders of their influence overnight. And in 2019, Arthur Fleck comes from nothing. This era no longer believes in the true power of the individual, as the previous era's disruptors are now in tight control of everything, with interlocking power structures between big tech, corporate interests, and politicians. Arthur is at the very bottom rung of power, living with his mother, broke, mentally unwell, a social pariah. His laugh isn't even a laugh, it's a disorder, a cry for help. It's no longer a time of excess or fearing the unknown. We have now already experienced the financial consequences of that excess through economic crashes, as the rich got richer and the poor got poorer, creating an atmosphere that lends itself to individual radicalization, resulting in us not fearing the unknown, but instead having to fear one another. The appearance of Joker has also changed in each era. In 1989, Joker is portrayed in an expensive suit, like a successful 80s businessman. In 2008, the Joker's appearance is more like war paint. The smile embedded on his face is a scar, signifying that a smile or laughter is used to cover up a wound. And in 2019, Arthur Fleck puts on his clown makeup every day for work, signifying that we are all clowns for playing into the current system. That we are forced to play a role and put on a happy face despite the feeling of hopelessness underneath with such economic uncertainty of the future. The Joker's strategies are also definitive of each era. In 1989, the Joker plays a prank on the newscasters, then takes over with his own irreverent infomercial and inflicts chaos on the city by revealing there is poison hidden in some customers' products at home, turning the tables on the consumerist culture of the time. He then throws mountains of cash from his parade float to lure in victims to be poisoned, signifying our cultural worship of the rich is an easily exploited weakness, and these money-driven values will be the death of us.
Greed is right. Greed works.
In fact, the character's downfall is due to his own excess, when he has a helicopter come to collect him and gets trapped. In 2008, the Joker is a terrorist who is willing to die for his cause. He holds the city hostage and forces it to make decisions that reveal its true priorities, which in turn creates chaos and uncertainty.
We've turned every cell phone in Gotham into a microphone.
The Joker even records himself on his phone and uploads his threats, like Osama bin Laden. The powerful now fear the power of technology and how anyone can influence the masses. The violence is brutal. It's not like 1989's playful mockery of culture. It's about fire and explosives, killing crowds, destroying infrastructure, and the very foundation of our society all at once. The 2008 Joker stacks cash, not to lure in others or hold on to power, but to burn it, to show that money has no value in this war. It's not a war about money, but a spiritual war. In 2019, the violence is personal, it's intimate, it's not a distant explosion, it's a gun or a knife. It's about seeing the person right in front of you and depersonalizing them to an idea or a symbol of something else, and then extinguishing them, reflecting this era's political polarization. Arthur Fleck is an insider look into the mind of a mass shooter, and the movie surprised audiences by creating empathy with his decisions, as instead of looking at the Joker as simply a bad guy, it causes us to reflect on the reality that every villain is a hero in their own mind. The final difference throughout each era is the Joker's relationship to Batman, and by extension, ourselves. In 1989, Jack sums up his relationship with Batman as,
You made me.
which is very different to 2008.
You complete me.
This shows a stark contrast between the philosophy between the two eras. In the 80s, the philosophy was that by keeping ourselves in check, we could avoid creating these types of villains. Evil was something that we believed could be prevented and defeated. Whereas in 2008, there's a more nihilistic view that the battle between good and evil is forever ongoing. There may be cause and effect, but the appetite for war is what completes both sides. And in 2019, the Joker creates moral ambiguity between the two positions, as Arthur Fleck's character is only rewarded in our culture once he begins making more selfish and destructive decisions for what he believes are good reasons. So if 1989's philosophy was, you made me, and 2008's philosophy was, you complete me, 2019's philosophy is, you are me. Tapping into the sense of powerlessness people feel in a world of division, with the line between good and evil becoming increasingly blurry, as people project their own desires onto the Joker's morally repulsive actions, reflecting our world of polarization and partisan media narratives. Each era, each Joker, and each performance shows us something about ourselves, the values we purport, the avenues to power we endorse, and the fear and anxiety bubbling underneath. The Joker will continue to grow with us because he is not the antithesis of our culture, but a reflection of it. This is a new channel, so don't forget to like and subscribe, and tune in to the next video.